Congratulations on the film. Just wondering if you can talk about what being Hellboy means to you.
I mean, I love that character. I discovered the graphic novels after college in like my early 20s when I was in New York. I love the art style. I love the pastiche of mythologies that he puts together. That whole mythological world is so fun, but especially Hellboy. Like, he's such a beautiful, weird creature. I mean, I want to say guy, but he's like really like a half demon creature. And I have a real kind of soft spot in my heart for like what he goes through. So it was very special, and like especially, meeting and talking with and being involved with Mike Mignola, who's the creator. It's just very, very special to me.
How did you make it your own? I mean, not only in terms of making the character your own, obviously in this new iteration, but also working within the prosthetics and all the other elements to actually ensure that this is your iteration of Hellboy.
I think that, it starts from the script, and we wanted to make this brutal Hellboy, this really kind of horror-based, bleak world. So that was the first stage in that. And then in terms of going into the makeup, like, there were a lot of specific things from the comics that I wanted to preserve. Hellboy has like a pocked face in the comics. These little like, and I think it's just because the red is so dramatic, you want to break it up with some pen marks. But we sort of interpreted those as scars. But we got down to like little details where I really wanted to go back to the comic, and even things like in the trench coat, there's a certain lapel that does certain little things that I was really interested in. I was really interested in his movements and stuff like that, like the way his jaw worked and stuff like that. But in general, for me, and so there's physical body positions, there's voice, there's all these things. But in general, for me, it's the psychodynamics of like a true identity struggle, where there's like this concept in the comic books of destiny, like he's destined to become something. And that's always felt a little bit like froofy to me. Like, I don't really know what destiny is, but I know what like genetics and impulses and feelings that I have. And then my struggle with becoming a conscious individual who chooses to be a good man in the world, right?
There's something to be said about somebody who's born to be evil and then is adopted in somebody who might not be a completely innocent person, but nonetheless is changing directions, nature versus nurture, right through the system.
Exactly. And also, like, I mean, the whole idea that he's called Hellboy, and that struggle with the father, that you live in the shadow of this father and you are of this boy, and then you want to become this man. But the paradoxes of that are all over the movie. I mean, one of the great things is, like, there's an initial scene where Hellboy's shaving his horns, and his dad comes and helps him shave his horns while he tells him that he's special and that he loves him, And there's something about him shaving the uniqueness off of him and yet calling him unique that is very interesting to me. And in a way, he's right, because at the end of the film, it's the villain who wants him to grow his horns, right? But in the end of the film, maybe there's something special even beyond the genetics of the horns that is unique to him that his father does see. But there's paradoxes of identity all through that, and like the control that parents have on our identities. And I found that fascinating.
Last question. We could talk about Ian McShane all the time,
Yes.
but we won't. We'll just put it out there that the man's a genius.
The man's a genius.
If you could talk about just what it's like to be in part of this sort of fan community. You obviously have it with Stranger Things, and you have it with this. And just in terms of you being a fan yourself, our site is called That Shelf, which is about the stuff you collect, the stuff you put on your shelf, about being a member of the fan community and the things that you nerd out about, and just what it's like to be a representative of this type of title.
I mean, it's a lot of responsibility, Fans are very vocal and they're very passionate and all these things. And I take everything very seriously, but I take that very seriously. I mean, I want, all these things to have real personal resonance for people that love it, and a real, I just want to do the best thing I can do. So all I'm trying to bring to things like Stranger Things and Hellboy is like just the best acting that I possibly can, which is like to make it personal, make it resonate on a humor level, on a emotional level. And so I take that stuff very seriously, and I just try to do the most earnest and like passionate work I can.
Are you going to have yourself as an action figure?
I have a couple of them, yes. People send them to me and stuff, but I like it, but I keep them way up. I have a bookcase that has like way top shelf, which I can barely see, and I keep all that stuff up there because like I don't really like to see it. I mean, I tend to think I keep wanting to strive further and have my best stuff be ahead of me. So I take like any awards or any action figures, all the sort of praisey sort of things that I've gotten, and I put them up on that shelf just because I do love it, and I think it's very, it's nice to have that sort of thing, but I also want to keep it like, not so present in my life as well.
Well, that's exactly what we do on our site, and thank you very much.
Cool, man.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great
Nice
job.
to meet you.